10 potential matches for WWE's Evolution pay-per-view. Number 10. Natalya vs Mickie James. Just like any normal pay-per-view, Evolution will need to be a well-structured card with some high-quality main event matches to draw in the audience, as well as a good solid undercard. And that is the section where this match would fall into. Natalya vs Mickie James isn't going to be a main event match for this historic night, but it would make an incredible match for the undercard. Two of WWE's most experienced hands would put on a well-thought-out match, and if WWE develops some backstory, there's no reason this can't be great. As two of WWE's longest serving female athletes, Natalya and Mickie James deserve a good spot on the show like this. Getting some time to show fans just how good they are and putting them against each other would be a cool way to do that. Number 9. Mae Young Classic Final. The Mae Young Classic is returning this year, and the tournament is set to air on the WWE Network during the summer. And the perfect place for the finals to be held would be Evolution, showcasing some of the biggest future stars. The tournament is set to be a huge success, just like last time, and WWE has brought in top female talent from all around the world to compete here, which means the final two will have gone through several rounds and will be known to WWE fans. After a full tournament dedicated to women, ending it on a women's only pay-per-view seems like the perfect fit, and hopefully will. Number 8. Shayna Baszler vs Bianca Belair. The NXT Women's Championship is set to be defended at the Evolution pay-per-view, and although it is unknown who will be the champion come October, the chances are that Shayna Baszler will still be dominating the division. One challenger that is coming up and will soon be pushing for the title match is Bianca Belair, who is incredibly impressive at such a young stage of her career. Belair was written out of a recent #1 contenders match through a storyline, which could set up for a future shot that could take place at Evolution and would make for a fantastic match. Number 7. NXT UK Women's Championship match. When Triple H announced that the UK division was being turned into NXT UK, he clearly stated that along with the UK Championship, there would be a women's title and tag team titles to go with it, and therefore it only makes sense for that belt to be defended as well. WWE would be smart to feature at least one match from the UK division on the show, bringing exposure to the division and the talents within it. And while we don't know who will be in that title scene right now, the division has some top talent already signed on. Someone like Jinny, who would make a good first women's champion, and while this is not going to be one of the top matches on the show, it adds another layer to the event and has another title match to go along with it. Number 6. 4 Horsewomen vs 4 Horsewomen. Sadly, this one isn't very likely due to the fact that Shayna Baszler is set to be defending her NXT Women's Championship. However, there's no guarantee that she'll be champion by the time Evolution rolls around, and that could open the door for this women's dream match. Ever since Ronda Rousey and Baszler arrived in WWE, the teases and tensions have been clear between them, and WWE version of the 4 Horsewomen, with all 8 women having teased the match in the past. While there have been teases, we are yet to see anything close to a match, but with all 4 former UFC stars now signed onto the WWE, this could finally take place on a huge scale female event. Number 5. Bayley vs Sasha Banks. Whether they're going to be best friends or bitter enemies at that point, it's hard to tell, with WWE going back and forth on the feud between the former NXT stars, but having a major showcase match like this on Evolution would be a huge deal. If you have seen Bayley and Sasha Banks compete before, then you know when they're given time, they are able to put on a match of the year quality bout, and that is what this pay-per-view is going to need, a real showcase match. With Bayley and Banks, you have 2 women that can be relied upon to carry a great story throughout a match, and really shook the world with just how good they can be. So hopefully, WWE finally lets it happen on the main roster. Number 4. Trish Stratus and Lita vs Mandy Rose and Sonya. While it might not be at the top of everyone's wish list, bringing back arguably the 2 biggest names in female wrestling history, everyone would like to see Trish Stratus and Lita involved in this pay-per-view, and putting them together as a tag team makes the most sense, as you don't want the entire show to be a nostalgia act, and it also means less in-ring time for each of them. Mandy Rose and Sonya are likely not everyone's first choice opponents for such legends, but they would make the perfect choice. Number 3. Battle Royal. While this doesn't seem like an incredibly exciting match on paper, it is something that will very likely happen, as WWE has promised that at least 50 women will be competing on the show, and not every match can be multi-woman. If the company wants to get all of the NXT female roster, the NXT UK roster, and some WWE legends onto the card, then the best possible way to do that would be via a Battle Royale, and this could be a fun match to break things up halfway through. If WWE puts something on the line here, potentially a future WWE Women's Championship match, or if it's only NXT women, possibly a main roster contract, then this would only add to the excitement for fans. Number 2. Becky Lynch vs Asuka. This is one of those dream matches that we haven't been able to see yet, but by the time Evolution rolls around, we could be in a perfect position to have Becky Lynch face Asuka, not just in any match, but possibly a women's championship match. Both Asuka and Lynch have been the main contenders to Carmella's WWE SmackDown Women's title reign, and hopefully, one of them will be holding the belt by then, with the other as the #1 contender. Having them both as baby faces, simply putting on a fantastic wrestling match, is all that needs to happen here, and the fans will go wild for it. And given that they are two of the best, you know the quality will be excellent. Number 1. Charlotte Flair vs Ronda Rousey. If WWE really wants to go all out and make Evolution the biggest match it possibly can, then Charlotte Flair vs Ronda Rousey is the perfect choice to main event the pay-per-view, as WWE doesn't have a bigger match in the women's division right now. WWE could easily put this on here as a real showcase match, as there's no reason they can't swap brands for one night and have an inter-brand match, especially when there's so much star power involved. The real question with this is whether WWE wants to pull the trigger on it now, or save it for a potential WrestleMania 35 main event, smashing what would be the only barrier left to climb by having a women's match headline.